The novel was really inspired by Henry James' Turn of the Screw, which is set in a country house in England, and the main characters are a governess and two children. The story is narrated by Florence, who's 12 years old, and it concerns what happens when the children acquire a governess. The first governess dies in tragic circumstances, and the second governess arrives, and spooky things start to happen. I set the book in 1891 because I wanted to be in a time when communications weren't very easy, and so there weren't any mobile phones to call for help on, and I think that increases the idea of isolation that the children feel when they're under threat. I suddenly started to think it would be very interesting to look at it not from the point of view of the governess, which is how Henry James tells the story, but from the point of view of the children. When I started writing the book, the first thing that came to me was Florence's voice, and Florence talks in this very special language that she's made up for herself. It's the language that she's come to think in, and she's done it. She's been inspired by Shakespeare and Shakespeare's felicity with making up words and adding words to the language, and she's consciously tried to do it herself, so much so that she now thinks in this private language, as indeed we all do, and particularly children. Here's an example where she's talking about the library, which is a forbidden room to them. We were hide and seeking one day when I opened a strange door, one that hitherto had always been locked, or so I had thought, probably on account of its stiffness, which my younger self could not manage, to refuge from in there, and discovered this great treasury of words. The game was straightway forgotten. I shelf to shelf, extracting book after book, the opening of each a sneezery of dust. Once I started writing in this manner, it became increasingly easy, and in turn I grew to love it, so that afterwards I found it very difficult not to write like this. When I'm writing, I have the experience of the characters actually being there and actually existing, and I think that's a nice thing about writing, that when you finish a book, there are these imaginary characters that you still... I think I found, for me, Florence was a very real and powerful character, and I kind of would like to know what happens to her. What I'd like readers to get from this book is the feeling of being a child and being alone and feeling that the world is very scary, and then how wonderful it is when you reach that moment that you can overcome that through your own resourcefulness, which we all have to do when we enter the adult world. So I'd like them to re-experience that kind of vulnerability, and then to experience the feeling of getting out of it yourself.